Thank you for coming. Good afternoon. I know it's difficult. It's late in the afternoon and there is cake. So thanks so much for joining this presentation. My name's Andrea Pfeil and I am here today as a representative of the Goethe Institute. It's a bit of an odd one out, this presentation, because we're not talking higher education. We're talking adult education or education in general, and specifically language learning. So language learning is, I think, a very specific subject because you use language to teach language, and at the Goethe Institute we usually teach in the target language. So the title of this presentation is called Practice, 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 and I know it sounds a bit well-worn. It's already what I've been told when I was trying to learn English or French, and it sounds a bit simplified. But this concept of practicing a language, which is our medium and content, is especially useful when it comes to online learning and digital learning, and I will try and explore that a bit more later on. So practice is meant as practice to be able to participate, and practice to be able to be included in the course, and practice to be able to progress. And I could go on and on what practice also helps you to do. It helps you to get confident in using the language and be successful. So, I was just not rough enough with the thing, I guess. So, our learners at the Goethe Institute, we have 160 Goethe Institutes worldwide, come from very different backgrounds. They have different learning biographies, interests, and different aims they work towards too. But they all have one thing in common. They want to be able to successfully communicate with each other. And it doesn't matter if their goal is to learn German as a hobby, or if they have a partner who speaks German, they need it for their job, or they want to live in Germany. Their main and common goal is to be able to communicate successfully in German. So what's the Goethe Institute's approach to enable our learners in online environments? How do we go about to enable students to be successful? Okay. I have an overview here that shows you what the focus of our learning courses is and what our learners' needs are and how we're trying to combine it. So if you, for example, would like to move to Germany, then our courses have scenarios where we prepare you for a trip to Germany, or to be able to live in Germany on a day-to-day basis. And so we look at all the different scenarios of why you would be interested in learning German, and how we can provide settings and scenarios to encourage communication on these topics. I mean, this sounds all pretty abstract and obvious, but there's still the challenge of how do we keep our learners going, how do we motivate and encourage them to interact with each other, to, as I said before, practice and to then progress with their language skills. So first of all, the courses we offer provide learning material we can use to offer a very flexible portfolio. So as I said, we have 160 Goethe Institutes. They all have, or most of them have, in-person courses as well as online courses. And the material we have developed offers a flexible transition from one format to another. So you can choose if you want to learn online and what kind of tempo you want, what kind of intensity you want, and the material is sort of the backup to be able to do this. Also, the course content is developed according to the core didactic principles the Goethe Institute applies to all our courses, which are action-orientated, it's task-based language learning, competence orientation, and success orientation. I'll come back to our principles in a minute. So let's say you travel a lot, you go to lots of conferences, and you would like to still do a German course. You could come to us and decide what kind of course you want to choose. So you can pick if you want to do a one-on-one class or if you want to learn in a group, and how many live sessions you want to have in your class. So it's all based on the same material. So if you then decide, oh, next term I'm stay at home a bit more, so I can do another course where I have in-person classes, there's an automatic or easy transition to other courses. So to be able to still, even though we have different options, to still achieve our goal and to enable students to successfully communicate, we use core teaching and learning principles. And one of, I think, the main principle, and we've talked about that for the last day and a half quite a bit, is the fact that you have to be able to see meaning in what you learn, and you have to be able to apply it right away, and it has to give you the feeling of being able to succeed with the task you get. So we use our task-based or action-oriented learning approach. So students always get or learners get tasks they have to fulfill. So for example, if they start out learning German, they would get a task like, for example, how to book a hotel room in Germany, and they would then step by step in that context be able to gain the knowledge and the competence to be able to succeed in this task, and then as a next step to apply it and transfer it to other situations as well. So I'll show you how that works in a bit more detailed slide. So we have developed a huge variety of exercises and topics that are relevant to learners, so they often get different ways to work on a topic, because obviously not every topic is of interest to all learners, so they have different options, and they can also, if you're faster, you can get additional bonus tasks to do as well. So all the exercises lead to tasks, and they all have or give you a meaningful way to learn, and I think what's important, especially in language teaching, is that it provides a structure and a step-by-step approach, so you don't get the feeling that it's overwhelming and you're lost, but you're constantly encouraged to take little steps forward in language learning. We do use, as many of you, we use Moodle, which we have adapted to the needs of language learners. So our learning platform has a very transparent progression and navigation, which can be obviously used in German, but it also can be switched into other languages. And we have lots of little features that help learners to try and do it all in German, but then get hints and special help options to be able to check if they understood everything correctly. So in every chapter, as I said, they have to work on a task, but they also have, and that's the core of also online learning, they learn on their own, they develop the structure, and then they have group work and group tasks where they exchange ideas and apply what they've learned. And when we think about the principles, again, this is where they have to have their success moments, where we don't focus on accuracy, we focus on communication, and we focus on encouraging students, learners to just try it out, even though they might make mistakes. And I think our teachers are, because they facilitate the learning, they see very quickly how if they give students this space, how they then help each other and support each other, because it's quite uncomfortable to learn another language. So if I've put something out there in a language I just started learning and you come back to me, I feel really excited that she understood what I said. So you will, and I will encourage you to keep communicating, because it feels very exciting to be able to do that in a language I've just started learning. So I think, opposed to other subjects for learning a language, but I think it also applies to other subjects, but especially in language learning, it has to be the step-by-step approach, tiny little steps that then give you the feeling of a constant progress, of being successful by little moves forward. So it's important, I think, to be able to use the target language as much as possible, and to, and I think that's one of our core ideas, that they feel, students feel that they have learned something, that they made progress. Often when we ask students, they're very critical with themselves, and they feel that they should do more, and I should have learned more grammar or vocabulary, and it takes a long time to reflect upon what you've actually already achieved. You often, when you learn a language, you only see what you don't know yet, but you don't focus on what you've learned already. So it's important to communicate for us what you've already achieved. To do this, we have developed a dashboard, a tool that shows learners and tutors about the progress they have made. They also get it according to the skills they've learned, and they get sort of automized feedback plus feedbacks provided by the tutor. So this combination, and we've talked about that quite a bit in other talks today, that there has to be a lot of feedback to be able to motivate students to keep going. And part of it can be done through artificial intelligence to learning analytics, but some of the feedback still has to be provided by the teacher, who sort of connects it all and gives individual feedback. Of course, students don't only learn on their own, in their own home. They also meet regularly in online live sessions, or they could go to one of the Goethe Institutes to work in blended learning courses. I think the online live sessions are crucial because they give learners a sense of community. They give they make their learning visible and audible. They can practice what they've learned online on their own. They feel more confident, and we've done research into how do they apply knowledge, and we feel, or we've seen that they use a lot more chunks. You know, in other language courses, they might try out different ways of how did the teacher say it, how was it in the book, and in these online courses, they really focus on the chunks they've learned and they put them into practice, and therefore they can communicate quite a bit faster. But almost last but not least, the teacher, as I said, is the most important link. I think when we talk about digital technology supporting learning, we often focus on the tools and on what can be done automized and automatically, but at least for language learning, the teacher and the teacher's feedback is still a crucial element of learning, because it gives students the direct feedback. Thank you. Thank you. The direct feedback on what they've learned, and they rely on peer feedback, but also feedback by the tutor. And just to make a comparison, because we're talking about digitalization, when we didn't have tools like Moodle and other learning platforms, it was not possible for the teacher to evaluate progress on their learners. They only maybe got homework handed in. But now the tutor can look at the platform and they can look at what have you done during the week, have you done the tasks, or where did you struggle? Did you struggle with certain specific exercises, and can then focus on your needs or the group's needs in preparing live sessions. So it does give the opportunity to teachers in language learning to focus a lot more on students' needs and on their progress. So it should not happen that you come to a classroom or a live session and the teacher doesn't know where you stand, because they can follow you online and help you along the way. So just to summarize before we hopefully have a short discussion. The criteria of successful collaboration, in our view, is we have to have, and more than maybe in other subjects, well thought out learning material that provide a sustainable student engagement. So lots of little exercises learners can do when they have a little spare time. They can keep practicing, and it gives them feedback on their progression. The skills that are learned have to focus on progress. They have to also be selected depending on can I do that on my own, or do I need other people to learn the skill. So for example, I used to teach for a long time, and we always had audio material and did listening exercises, and there was always a class, and you might remember that from your own language learning, and you listen to an audio, and then you probably understood everything already, but I hardly understood anything, so we have to listen to it again. I'm still not understanding everything, and you're already bored. So this is a waste of crucial classroom time, and can be done online, because online I can listen to it 10 times until I feel that I have now understood it, and you might be able to do it within 2 minutes and you completed the task already. So we're looking at the specific skills that need to be achieved, and decide, is that something you should rather do with the help of our learning platform online on your own, or should that be done together in a group? So practicing speaking is more difficult if you don't have anyone to speak to, so that's something we focus on in the live sessions. We talk about, at the Goethe Institute, we talk a lot about do we still need teachers in the future? Is that not something, especially with language learning, and we were just talking about this in the last presentation, we have all those translation tools and artificial intelligence and robots. Will they not, avatars, will they not replace teachers in the future? We have many, and you can check out our projects, we do a lot of research on is a teacher really replaceable? And at this point we feel definitely not, because a teacher gives the language and everything that comes with learning a language, culture, the interpersonal relationships that are growing when you learn a language. It gives that much more meaning, and therefore it cannot just easily be replaced. And I think when you think about your own life, and we often have those watches that keep telling us to stand up or go running or do things, that only works a little while, and then you think, yeah, okay, I've seen that before. But if it's a real person, it does have a different meaning. So I think the future of language learning will always be blended. We will use tools. Digitalization gives us a lot more, but we still need teachers to be able to facilitate and deliver it. One aspect we constantly work on is we have to make it relevant to participants' lives. And with digitalization, it's still difficult, but it is easier to give a broader view on topics. You don't have a book that just delivers 10 pages of a certain topic. You can give more options, you can give different images, and you can always switch that out or add on. So it is easier to create content that's relevant, and it doesn't age as fast because you can replace it. Yeah, and I said it, teacher plays a central role, and artificial intelligence and learning analytics will support it, but it will always take teachers who are good at navigating content, the learning progress, the group, and help students to keep learning. So, and hopefully now I'll get lots of questions from you. Thank you.